Hey, this is my video for the level design portfolio. In my level is set in 13th century Japan, so I've gone for more of like a ancient style for how my level is designed. The player starts in this house here and makes their way towards these stairs. I've included this big tree in the centre of the village to act as a weenie, which was made famous by Walt Disney when he's creating the Disneyland parks, when he's created like the Cinderella Castle to help guests navigate throughout the parks, whereas like my tree is to help the player navigate around the village and where they are referring to the tree. The player heads towards this direction, towards the stairs, with these lanterns at the bottom and the top of the stairs. I've included these lights because it's like a human instinct to go towards anything where there's a light source. Also in a GDC talk by Scott Rogers, he mentions that in Disneyland parks that at night Main Street lights are turned on to help guests exit the park, but they also light up the Cinderella Castle to help guests who are further away to help them leave the park as well. He also mentions in that talk that if you wait by Main Street at night, you see guests flood out of the park, which is helped by the lights on Main Street. And that's why I've included these lights here, to help the player like realise that the posts are going this direction. So they go up these stairs, which is a little bit of verticality in this starting area, because if it was just plain and flat, the player would get quite bored and it wouldn't be a very interesting level design. In a blog by Mark Barkley on his post about level design guidelines, he mentions that even slight variation in terrain height can keep a level interesting, which is what I've aimed here with these stairs here. So the player goes towards this direction, following these lanterns here, and the lantern that's directly outside the building that I want them to enter in. There's also a tree here that's also like a little signpost as well. The player enters here, where there's a table and another light source, with a placeholder for the throwing knife. Unfortunately, I haven't got the blueprint to work for this, because originally I would want the player to pick this up and they'd have the ability to shoot. But in the final product, I plan to implement this fully so it works how I expect it to. So the player exits out of here and goes back down the stairs, heading towards the exit of the starting area and into the main part of the level. There's also these crates here that act as a little bit of obstacle, and the player can only get through these by after they've collected the throwing knife over there. So they just shoot these down to get past them. I've also included this like ravine kind of looking area from the starting village to the main part of the level, which just makes the bigger level more of like a grand statement. Whereas if it were just starting area and going straight into the open world, it'd be kind of a bit boring and there'll be a bit no lead up to it. It wouldn't be as grand as, say, with this. Again, a little bit more verticality to keep the level interesting. So atop here, you see the temple, which is the player's end goal. I've included this because it's like another weenie, but more of a large scale weenie. In an article by Alex K called Level Design in Pursuit of Better Levels, he mentions that large landmarks generally function as amounts to orient the player to large open worlds, player goals, and as weenies, like I mentioned before. So, like Alex K said, I've made this tempo as high as it is so it helps the player to orient themselves wherever they are in the level, because they should be always able to see that temple and help them navigate the level properly. Again, with another lantern here, and then we've got two directions, which creates kind of like a false sense of choice for the player, because yes, both go in different directions, but eventually they'll lead into the same area, which is the temple over there. For now though, we're going in this direction, as we see some smoke here, which is in a sense like another form of weenie, but instead of just a standalone big object in the distance, it's more of a movement weenie, as you can see with the smoke rising in the distance over the hills. So the player heads over in this direction, again with another lanterns over there, which like stepping stones for the player, and they just follow this path down. Over here with some more lanterns and another bit of verticality to keep the level interesting. Also, we have this like ravine here, which is also like another form of verticality. So we end here. This is a bit of environmental storytelling, as this place is supposed to look like it's been raided recently with all the fire and the smoke. This is here for like the player to explore. There isn't, at the current moment in time, there isn't any reason for the player to enter here, but it's just for a little bit of exploration, if they so choose to. So I've included this here as like environmental storytelling, so it's the player's own interpretation of what happened here. And again here is a little bit more interactions, where they're moving the crates. Unfortunately there's nothing in these buildings at the moment, but in the final product I plan to add a little bit more stuff in here so the player can interact with some items here. So the player exits out of that building and heads towards out of the village, and we're going up that hill over there as if we were heading towards the temple. But we're not going to the temple just yet, as there's still a little bit of thing that I need to show. Again, with the lanterns as little signposts. And then you see the temple up top there. Again, as you can see, another false sense of choice. So we're towards the temple or further field in the level. So we're going this direction first. Originally there was going to be a bit more interactions for the player, but I've been having some issues with blueprints, which I haven't been able to implement. But in the final product, I do plan on having these more interactions for the player. And this is supposed to be like a tucked away place. As you can see, the path is not as clear, and there's only that little lantern to hint that there may be something up here. We'll go through here, and you see like a little house over there. Another lantern to help the player navigate the area, and a bit of interactivity with like a blackout bed and a blackout table. Originally there was going to be a note here which would hint for the player to head towards the temple, but again I haven't managed to implement these properly. But in the final product I'm hoping to have a note there for the player to read and interact with. We head back towards the temple. As you can see it anywhere throughout the level because of how big it is. Also with the Sky Dome, I originally was going to have it to be at dusk, but due to having some lighting issues with Unreal, I decided just to have it in daytime. So we go back up here, again with another bit of verticality to keep the level interesting. And here we have 2 lanterns, so the player knows where they are. And you can see everything from the starting village over there to the little another village there, and with the house what we've just been to over there as well. So this is the end goal for the player, and we go up these stairs and there's a trigger box right at the end here, which will end the game. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.